work in the central EMEA collaboration team in the contact center business, and in that team, I'm in charge of innovation, which means that in the last year and a half, I've been spending my time 90% of the cases working on artificial intelligence, and especially the partnership we have with Google. I'm going to talk about. So this is the agenda for today. I will try to give an overview of the sales opportunity, the go-to-market, some suggestions for our partners, and of course some examples, use cases, and demonstrations of what we can achieve, what kind of incredible business value we can deliver thanks to the new technologies available in contact center to our customers. So let me start this way by having a look, as usual, at what's happening in the market, because this is always what is driving our efforts and what is setting our priorities. So the customer care industry, the contact center industry, has been a little bit static for many years without that much innovation. And now, all in a sudden, a kind of convergence of multiple different trends, both technology trends as well as customer market trends, are triggering a lot of new opportunities. I mean, every customer is going into an RFP, into a POC, or an RFI, and so there is a lot of excitement around contact center. Well, contact center, as Joanna was saying, is shifting from being perceived as a cost center, so a cost for the enterprises, into a kind of strategic advantage, for the simple reason that customer experience, customer care is becoming really a financial metric, a financial KPI for plenty of large enterprises. And if you want, the contact center is the IT tool to drive the customer experience. And therefore, it's now being really ranking very high in the priority of the business stakeholders of every customer. And the reason why we have this new energy in the contact center is because of the changes. You reignite the business only when there are certain changes, and there are plenty of changes which, as I said, are converging. The first one is cloud. So cloud is a reality, and also in the contact center, where the vast majority of the install base is on premise. More than 90% of the agents are still running on premise, regardless of Cisco or the other vendors, across all the vendors. Well, at the same time, 100% of the customers are talking about moving to cloud, partially moving to cloud, migrating to a hybrid on-premise cloud solution, or at least planning a potential migration to cloud, even if for the next 2 years, maybe they still want to stay on premise. So cloud is definitely one topic, hot smoking on the table of all the customers. Then there is another one which is driven by the consumer, which is driven by the end users, and they are quite used to chat, to exchange information, to reach out to each other with a huge list of different chat digital applications, and therefore they would like to use those applications to contact the customer care. So here again, the vast majority of the installed base of contact center is audio-only contact center, and the preferred media by the customer is already a chat or a digital tool, and therefore this is triggering a rush of both the install base and the new contact centers to enable digital tools. So there is a clear migration from audio-only to digital, omni-channel. Pick the word you prefer to describe what I just said so far, contact centers. So this is another trend, very important. Now, then there are the business priorities. The business priorities are more or less the usual one. So they want to make the contact center as more productive as possible. They want to get the greatest business value out of the contact center, out of the resources, the money invested in a contact center they can. So it's a constant search for improvements in terms of productivity and profitability of the contact center. And um, finally, there is the technology innovation. So the technology innovation in contact center today is mainly artificial intelligence, not artificial intelligence itself, which is a science at least 30 years old, but it's the underneath technology which is powering artificial intelligence today, which is becoming more and more mature. So there are new technologies such as machine learning, natural language understanding, which are today enough mature to deliver incredible enterprise class services, which were not possible just 1, 2 years ago, or which were possible but at an higher cost. And this is definitely a revolution which is taking place, not just in the contact center, but I would say especially in the contact center. The contact center is a kind of natural environment where you can easily plug in artificial intelligence to deliver value. So that this is what is happening in the market, and this is what is driving the priorities of a vendor like Cisco. So we would like to make the contact center a solution powered by artificial intelligence, fully mesh with the rest of the collaboration architecture. So that's one very important point. Contact center has been historically an island within the IT infrastructure of the company. And when you have an island, you have barriers, and these barriers are definitely lowering the productivity. So making the contact center um, fully integrated, part of the collaboration infrastructure, which means the intranet collaboration infrastructure of an enterprise, is one way to drive the productivity of the contact center higher and higher. So the importance of the architecture is now raising and becoming clear and evident to everybody. So the plan with this strategy is, of course, also to transform the role of people playing in the contact center. For example, the agent. We look at the role of the agent being lifted up to the role of a kind of customer consultant, customer advisor, and not just the poor lady or man who are taking one times every single day the same simple questions they have to answer to. So the technology can do that, and you can reserve the precious and expensive resources like the agents for the most difficult customers, for the most difficult questions, to improve the customer experience. So that's the idea behind transforming the agent, making the agent a super agent, and therefore augmenting the capacity and the capabilities of an agent with technology. And all this stuff will have an immediate impact on business because again, as we said, the customer care, the contact center is the primary IT tool to drive customer experience. It's the way that companies are talking to their partners or talking to their clients. So if it doesn't work, it's like you have the wheels in your car not rolling properly, regardless how powerful your car is. The overall performance is not good. So there are a series of problems with the legacy technology which are being addressed by artificial intelligence and a few other things in the contact center. So, for example, from a customer point of view, I think you have whole experience how frustrating could be the experience of going through a contact center service. I don't know, with the large retail, with the service provider, etc. So the customer today are used to the modern technologies, to socials, etc., where everything is always available 24/7, where things are user friendly, easy to access. You don't have to go through a very complex IVR menu and sub menu, etc., just finally to be able, I don't know, to change your settings in your profile. People are becoming impatient. They don't want to spend 1 hour on a phone call just to find a solution to their problem, or they don't want to have they don't want to call 2, 3 times just to get one problem solved. They want to call, and if it's necessary, better if it's a self-service, and reach the contact center, find the solution by themselves in a few minutes and get that fixed. And only in case they need expert support, they need a kind of in-depth support, they want to talk to an agent. The other point is that they don't want to be treated as one person belonging to the big community of clients of a company. They want to be recognized with their name, with their profile, with their habits, with their subscriptions, etc. So it has to become more and more personal. And therefore, we are talking more and more about delivering quality with a contact center versus quantity, which was more or less the primary objective until a few years ago. So, well, and as I said, there are challenges doing that. One challenge, for example, is the fact that the pace of certain customer habits, like the chat and the socials, etc., well, are quite faster than the pace of the IT industry. So this social world, these chat apps are changing every 6 months, and you know better than me that whatever IT vendor needs 1 year, 1 year and a half just to deliver something new, just an upgrade, etc. So definitely we need to take that into account when we design the architecture of the modern contact center solutions, and we'll talk about that. What is frustrating our customers today? Well, being each of us a customer of a contact center, I think we know that. Well, sometimes the experience is very poor. You don't find your option. You don't know how to escalate. It's not self-service. It's really unflexible. You call 3 times and you get the answer from 3 different agents who are going to ask you exactly the same list of questions 3 times, and you get nervous, frustrated, etc. So you have to wait long times in a queue just to talk to an agent, and maybe at the end it's just to change your password in your profile, which is something you can do easily through a self-service contact center IVR, for example. And sometimes the agents are not able to solve your problem because the agents have to take care about a broad set of potential questions, issues, or maybe because the agent, they don't have easy access to the information themselves. So they are struggling, like you are struggling, to find the right information you're looking for. So to all these kind of problems, artificial intelligence is offering a lot of good suggestions, a lot of good support, and we will see that. One critical point in the contact center is becoming the first contact resolution. It's really crucial because it's proven by many researches, by analysts, that first of all, a huge percentage of the first customer contact, so the first call or chat you place into a contact center, doesn't get an answer. So the first contact is not enough to solve your problem, so you have to call back. But out of that percentage, which is 1/3, the 40% of them, they will not call you back. They will churn, they will switch to another vendor. And that's very much important for business stakeholders because the cost of acquiring new customers today is really high. So you cannot afford the luxury to lose customers. You have to retain your customers' number one priority. And then if you win more customers, even better. But you have to retain your customer base, as the cost of acquiring new customers is much higher than the cost of retaining new customers. And well, again, as we said, Very often, even if you manage to easily reach the agent doesn't have the answer. Maybe the answer is owned by an expert, and it's not that simple to reach the expert because the contact center is an island within the infrastructure. I mean, ask yourself why very often maybe you have one collaboration infrastructure in the intranet from one vendor, and the contact center is from a completely different vendor. So this is creating barriers, and therefore a common underneath architecture across the intranet and the contact center is a good way to deal with this complexity, is a good way to improve the efficiency of a contact center. Well, we can talk about many obvious consequences of all what we said so far. Impact on the brand, and you know how much the brand is important in today's global, flat, social, consumer-driven economy. And the loyalty of the customer to a certain brand is in direct relationship with the ability of the enterprise to support and to resolve the problems of the customer, to recognize the specific profile of a certain customer versus the other. So it's very much demonstrated that a bad customer experience, a bad customer care contact center experience has an immediate impact on business. On the other side of the wall, so on the contact center IT side, there are the agents, which are frustrated as well. And this is clearly seen, in the statistics about the churn rate of the agents, which are changing quite frequently in a contact center. And this is a business issue because you need to train agents, you need to find agents. And if once they are trained, they work for 6 months and they leave because they are unsatisfied, well, that's not good for the company as well, and it's not good for the customers. So, well, what is frustrating the agent? Again, answering 1,000 times the same question in a single day while being at your desk on duty, it's not a good way to keep the agents motivated and happy. And technology can do that on behalf of the agents. Or process is very slow. There are too many steps the agent has to go through just to find the answer the customer is asking while in a call. So they need to have the answer handy. And it's not just a matter of training because the agent will never become the expert. So just think to an insurance, healthcare insurance. The agent will never be a doctor. They have to be trained on health, on medical processes, etc. But they will never be a doctor. And sometimes a customer will need the support of a doctor. So if the agent is unable to reach the expert, a doctor in this case, because they don't have a common chat, because they don't have a common calling architecture, because they don't have a common collaboration architecture, well, that's a problem for business, for the customer, and for the productivity of the contact center. And in the end, it's also a problem for the agent, because he will get the crap from the customer in the audio call. So, all in one, you understand that we are talking about a big opportunity to improve the process efficiencies, to reduce the cost, increase the ROI of any investments in the contact center, and this will have an impact on both the agent side, which are going to be happier, and on the customer side, where a customer experience should definitely benefit from what we can add to the services delivered by a customer care. So what we plan to do and what we can make available, and then we will see examples of what I'm saying here. So we want, as we said, to spare the time of the agents for the most difficult customers, for the most difficult questions, etc. Get rid of the repetitive processes, repetitive questions, information the customer is looking for, which could be delivered through a self-service without boring the poor agents, without frustrating the poor agents, and keeping the customer happy because they can get that alone in a few seconds without having to be in a queue to talk to an agent and without having to talk to the agent at all. So that's what we aim to achieve. We want to turn the agent into a super agent, giving them augmented capabilities through artificial intelligence. This is covering a broad set of tools and supports and self-services and features we can deliver. I mean, I could explain it now, but the best would be to show you what we can deliver and then talk about that later on during the session. Artificial intelligence, we will see. Well, it's not a kind of magic. Sometimes it looks like a kind of magic, but certainly it's a wonderful technology to address the vast majority of the issues and areas of improvements I raised so far during my presentation. You can do through artificial intelligence a lot of processes simplifications, processes automation, sparing time of the agents, delivering self-services contact centers, supporting the agents in finding in a proactive manner the useful answers the customer is asking for without taking any specific action like switching to a browser or digging into a database while the customer is complaining. You're looking for the information. The AI can do that for you and can make those informations available to the agent when the agent needs those information. So that's the overall idea we're going to talk about. And let me also spend one word on the dollar value of all what we are talking about, because I just figured out by myself that without writing down a few numbers, we don't realize how great the opportunity is here. And it's great for the customer, it's great for the partners, and it's great for the vendors. Let me make this example for you. Let's assume that we target a 10% optimization of the contact center. So then we can talk about what we mean by 10% optimization. But let's say we make the contact center 10% more efficient. So which already is setting a kind of expectation and suggestion for all of you. Don't aim to boil the ocean. Don't aim to achieve a 50%, 80% optimization, like sometimes I'm hearing from the analysts, etc. And I'm saying that not because it's not possible. It is possible. I'm saying that because just 10% is already offering an incredible return from any investment asked to the customer in terms of technology. Let's assume a total cost of ownership for an agent of $1,000, which is not a lot. If we talk about Western European economies, it's much more than that. But let me take a conservative approach: $1,000 per agent per month. Well, make your math. A mid-size contact center, 1,000, 2,000 agents. We are talking about the cost of the agents being in the range of $12 to $24 million per year. So the savings will be already in the range of $2.5 million per year. And if you consider the 5-time life cycle of a contact center, and sometimes it's more than that, so it's again a conservative assumption, we are talking about delivering savings for $6 to $12 million. And that $6 to $12 million is the budget to drive the innovation in the contact center, to pay the partner, to pay the vendor, and to leave some cost savings to the customer, and at the same time, of course, to deliver a better customer experience. So that's why artificial intelligence is on top of the priorities of all the contact center customers we meet on a daily basis, on top of all the priorities, together with cloud and with digital. Okay, now, what is the architecture? I've been talking about the importance of the architecture quite a while, so let me talk a little bit in depth about that. So, as we said, we have one trend from the customer side, the need to support multiple digital tools. And again, remember, the dynamic of this business is so quick that the IT industry will never catch with that pace. So we need to take that into account. We need to decouple the dynamics of the socials from the IT infrastructure. Then we have the changes in the IT infrastructure. For example, the move to cloud, which means that whatever you plan to do today, maybe on premise, should be good in 2 years from now when you start the migration to cloud. So again, we need to decouple what we are doing from the IT infrastructure, especially from the the consumption model, if it is a traditional on-premise or if it is a software as a service. We have to do that because otherwise whatever you invested today, maybe in 2 years from now, you have to restart from scratch as it doesn't apply to the new cloud solution you are migrating to. Then we have this artificial intelligence galaxy. While artificial intelligence technology is mature enough to deliver enterprise class services, and it's getting more and more mature, as we will see, the artificial intelligence market is not mature at all. There are some leading vendors, Google, Dialogflow, and a bunch of others. But it's very much clear that in the next 2 to 5 years, there will be both a kind of consolidation. Some vendors will disappear, there will be acquisitions, etc. And at the same time, new vendors may be verticalized. AI for a certain vertical sector, for finance, for example, for healthcare, etc., will pop up. So say that it means that we need to have an open approach to artificial intelligence integration as well. Last point, very much important, artificial intelligence without data, it's like a wonderful German car with a tank empty. It's useless. So data, big data, is the fuel which is feeding the powerful artificial intelligence technology. And the data are normally stored in a cloud, on-premise, in a knowledge base, in a CRM, etc. So we have to take that into account in the architecture as well. Very much important. Now, how can we, and by we I mean we as a vendor and you as a partner, pull all these pieces together to deliver the business value to the customers I've been talking about? Well, generally speaking, we need to conceive, we need to think to what I call the conversational engine. You can call it as you prefer. I think conversational engine makes sense, but it's just my terminology. A conversational engine which is acting as an orchestrator between all these building blocks in a modern contact center architecture. So the conversational engine is the one which, if you want, is managing, is orchestrating the traffic, the flow of the conversation, regardless the media, from one building block, functional block to the other. So that's the first point. The second point, this has to be done through open APIs, because the open APIs are the way to make your solution flexible, agile, versatile, customizable, and long-lasting, which means that it's through the open API that you decouple, for example, the IT infrastructure from the social market, so that when something is changing, you don't have to redesign or recode your contact center infrastructure. You just have to adapt your open API. Same with the artificial intelligence vendors. And same with the on-premise to cloud migration. So, I mean, the conversational engine has to talk to the IT infrastructure through open APIs, because the worst which could happen when you move from on-premise to cloud is you have, again, to change the API. But that's the worst which could happen. You don't have to change everything else. Now, this has an impact. And this is, as you can see, I mean, there are no Cisco logo here. So this is the architecture that a good contact center consultant should put forward, regardless the vendor is working for. Okay. Now, say that there is an immediate consequence for the partners and for the go-to-market. So in Cisco, the go-to-market is through partners, but you have to think about that, because this has a consequence. So far, historically, it's even a clearly map into our channel program. We have been rewarding our partners for being very good system integrators. So by that, I mean being very good to buy certain products, design a solution, configure the products to roll the solution, maintain, upgrade the solution. This was the role of the system integrators. Today, in a modern contact center, it's no longer enough because you will experience that 99% of the contact center projects you will have in the next 2 to 5 years will be projects, will be custom projects. So just buying and getting the products and configuring the products is not good enough. You will need some software integration skills to play with the APIs. And by that I mean writing some line of codes by yourself, because it's no longer just a matter of configuring. There will not be package solutions you just download, install, configure, and like a kind of magic are delivering exactly precisely what the customer is looking for. And it's already the case, for example, for the integration with CRM solutions. And one more step, don't fall in the trap to believe that artificial intelligence and specifically designing bots, playing with bots, is just a matter of going through one more training. It's a new science which demands expertise, especially voice bots demands expertise. So even if you are both a system and a software integrator, don't fall in the trap to assume that you could become easily an artificial intelligence specialist. It's not the case. It requires training, it requires skill sets, it requires experience. So those are the considerations you should sit down with your management, etc., and consider, regardless Cisco. So this is an industry trend. It's not Cisco. It's the same across all the vendors. So the reward for doing that is pretty incredible, because I don't think there will be too many partners able to deliver such an interesting solution to the customer. So it will be really a competitive distinguishing factor for the partners in the field. And as we have incredible partners, it will be the same for Cisco, thanks to our partners. Now, the Cisco partner, is always playing the role of the conductor of the orchestra here, which means that you may want to sign partnership with artificial intelligence bot makers, specialists, if you don't want to develop those skill sets in-house. And you will be the conductor of the orchestra, but you need those skills. The way you develop those skills is, of course, your decision, and this could be one. Now, we are going to deliver these kind of solutions across all our platforms. We are almost there. Even on the last contact center platforms we added to our portfolio, which is the WebEx Contact Center Cloud Software as a Service solution. We do already have integration with AI from Google. For example, you can already plug and play with the Google chatbots on the existing contact center service, release service we have available today. But we continue enhancing that solution, and we are going into early field trial now, so in the last days of June, with a new set of features which are taking full advantage of artificial intelligence in that solution. For example, we will have an enhanced IVR, which is something we call conversational IVR in Cisco, which is a combination of a traditional IVR plus artificial intelligence. And we will also be able to plug in a voice bot, so a virtual voice agent delivered by Google into the Cisco WebEx Contact Center infrastructure. There is another list of extra features we will cover in a new partner introduction webinar later on. And again, this is in early field trial right now, also in Europe with some partners. So stay tuned, because we keep investing, improving our solutions. Now, one more point on the sales side, then I move to use cases and demonstrations. So the point I would like to raise is the following. We have signed not just the technology, but also a sales commercial partnership with Google. Therefore, the Google AI services will be sold through Cisco price list. These are subscription services, so it's like Flex, it's like a WebEx subscription, but this is a full OEM between Google and Cisco. So you can package the commercial offer across Cisco Flex licensing subscription, for example, and Google AI services in one single bill, one single invoice to your customers. And that's, the advice. If the customer has a special relationship with Google and for whatever reason they want to keep the two things separated, so getting two different invoices for the same services, they can do that. But our advice is, of course, to go through Cisco as a unified channel for not just the technology, but also the commercial offer. Where do we apply artificial intelligence in a contact center? Very much important, because otherwise we fall in the same trap that when we talk about artificial intelligence, we are talking about diverting calls from a physical human agent to a virtual agent, to a voice bot. That's certainly one case, but it's not the only case, and maybe not the most compelling case to take advantage of artificial intelligence in a contact center. We do that, and that's what we call in Cisco virtual agent. So when we talk about virtual agent, it's either a voice or a text virtual agent, which means that the solution aims to replace the agent with a bot, with the software, with the virtual agent. There are other ways to apply artificial intelligence. You can still have an incoming audio call served by a human agent, so you don't replace the agent, but you support and help the agent through artificial intelligence, for example, to find the useful answers to the client questions in a proactive manner. In this case, the artificial intelligence solution, which in the case of Cisco is called Cisco Agent Answers, will monitor the conversation between the agent and the client and will proactively search in a knowledge base for useful information, potential answer, and push those answers forward on the agent desktop so that the agent, without taking any action, will have a list of possible answers to copy and paste or deliver to the client. And this will improve the customer experience, the productivity, shortening the calls, etc. But it's not about replacing the agent. It's about adding, augmenting the potential of the agent, creating a super agent. There is more than that. Now, when the call is coming into a contact center and is reaching an agent, before being routed to an agent, is always going through an IVR. And this IVR experience is one of the most frustrating ones you can have being a customer, because every touch tone IVR or speech enabled IVR, which is again a touch tone IVR where you just speak the option, but there isn't more than that. It's based on logically, it's based on a static tree with plenty of menus, plenty of options, where the customer, when you are unlucky, is just finding his option as the last one of the last menu after being in a call listening to an IVR for 2 minutes, which is quite frustrating. At the same time, quite inefficient. Also for the enterprise, because if they want to improve the customer experience, they have to remove some options. But by removing some options, they might not be able to cover all the portfolio of services they have. So it's a kind of short blanket, and there is no solution to that. It's an architectural limitation of the legacy technology. You can decide to apply artificial intelligence just to the IVR, and that's what we call in Cisco the conversational IVR. The main difference between a traditional IVR and a conversational IVR is the fact that you speak to the IVR. And the IVR, powered by natural language understanding skills, is able to understand what the customer is looking for, is able to understand what's the option the customer is talking about, is able to understand the intent, the action the customer is taking, is willing to take. And therefore, it's ideally like shortcutting the traditional IVR tree immediately to the option chosen by the customer. And this will keep the IVR very flexible, versatile, the customer experience much better. At the same time, for the enterprise, it will be much easier to cover the full services they want to have in the IVR because maybe they have a huge portfolio. Or they will be able also to get feedbacks from the customers, even when, for example, the customer is not looking, is not finding his own option within the IVR. Before, they were dropping the call, and the enterprise was seeing a huge number of dropped calls without understanding why. Now, you still see the dropped calls, but you know why, because you see what the customer asked to IVR, and therefore you have the opportunity to improve your IVR by adding one more option. So as you can see, it's opening a brand new way to deal with the customer. And after that, the call will be served by an agent. It doesn't have to be served by a bot. But most of the cases, the IVR itself will be able to deliver services to the customer. So you don't need to escalate to the agent. And when you escalate to the agent, you can still apply agent answer to support the agent to be more efficient. So you can combine all these pieces, all these bricks, just to build the house you prefer. And you can decide to escalate depending on the IVR solution picked by the customer to a bot versus an agent. Maybe they ask the customer is a VIP customer, so you reserve a human agent. Maybe the customer is just a regular one, you route the call to a voice bot. So all these options are your services options to deliver to the customer. And the same applies to the chat. So you can do precisely the same on chat. You can send the chat to a chat bot. You can send the chat to an agent and still support the agent with agent answers. And you can even deliver on chat very interesting other kind of agent assistant services. One for the European markets, but not just for the European markets, is, for example, language translations. And that's the first use case I would like to cover with you. Okay? Now, I would say if there are questions, I could take questions now. Otherwise, we move to the first demo and use case.
Max, there is one question that we just need to answer, and that is there a timeline on when SIP-based video can be received by agents on DX/Desk Pro units on the WebEx contact center platform?
On a WebEx contact center, I don't have it yet.
Okay.
So I need to ask, I need to check if it's available. On the other contact center platforms, we do have solutions now to do that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. That's the only
welcome.
question at the moment, so that we haven't answered.
Okay, so first use case, quite interesting. So the languages are a barrier to business, especially in Europe. And I mean, if you deliver your service across 2 or 3 countries, you have to deal with languages. And in B2B, maybe English is the de facto standard. In B2C, no way, even if you speak English, you will call the service of a contact center for your retail brand speaking English. You will always call the contact center speaking your mother tongue language. So it's a barrier. And in a contact center, it's a big barrier because it's not just a matter of adding more agents speaking multiple different languages or having more agents than needed because you have to double the number of agents as you have to hire one speaking Spanish, one speaking English, for example. It's managing those agents. What about workforce management, for example? If you have a multi-language contact center service, it's about how many French-speaking agents you need at that time of the day, day of the week. It's how many German you need, etc. And it's impossible to optimize. You will always be in a situation where all the French agents are busy. There is one more French client in queue, and you have all the German agents free. It's impossible to optimize. Let me show you an example of how artificial intelligence can fix this problem. In this case, we have an incoming chat from Telegram. The incoming chat is hitting a Cisco contact center, and the Cisco contact center is able to talk to Google, in this case, Google Cloud Translation Services, and it's delivering a cloud translation service back and forth from the client to the agent, regardless what is the client tool, and also regardless what is the agent tool. In this case, you will see the demo using Finesse, but it could be done on Salesforce.com, ServiceNow, anything, because we have an open API architecture. So to demo that, I'm going to show you the following. So I hope I'm still logging. Let's give it a try. So this is my Finesse agent desktop. Now I'm picking my phone and through Telegram, then I will switch to my Telegram client on Mac so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to chat the contact center. So as soon as you chat the contact center from Telegram, you see the agent is getting the chat. Now, let me switch to my Telegram here so you see what I'm doing and I'm not cheating you, so I'm doing something true. I'm an Italian customer. Io ho bisogno di aiuto tecnico. And now let's assume the agent on the other side is a poor English-speaking agent who is getting this strange language from somewhere around the world. He doesn't even recognize what language is that one. So, but he can invoke Google into the Cisco contact center, and he can invoke Google asking, please translate whatever language that is into my language, which is English. And Google, in a kind of magic, will immediately kick in the Cisco contact center and start translating. And therefore, you can reply in your mother tongue language. I'll ask a technician to call you back. Boom. And the Italian customer will be very happy because he has got an immediate answer in his own language without even noticing he's talking to an English agent. And of course, it's very versatile because if the next customer is chatting in German, ich brauche, and I apologize for my German, Unterstütz. Bah, I think it's something like that. I hope. If it's wrong, it's my German, which is not good. So a new chat is coming in, and let's say this time the agent is speaking Italian. So I'm asking Google, please, can you translate that in my language because I'm Italian, okay? Oops. What did I think I wrote something wrong somewhere. Yeah, technician is written in a different way. So, well, anyhow, I think you got my point. Please trust me. If you speak German, everything works as well as you speak Spanish, French, and any other language. So this is just an example of what you can achieve today. Well, another one I want to give you, which is a little bit more challenging, is more or less the same, but with an incoming audio call, not an incoming chat. In this case, the service is about transcription and translation of an incoming audio call. So we have an incoming audio call into the Cisco contact center. The call is being sent by the Cisco contact center to Google, and Google in this case is doing two things. The first one is speech to text, so transcribe the call in whatever language it is, and then translating the transcription in the required language by the agent. And finally, this information is sent back to Cisco contact center, and we will be able to render that information on Finesse agent desktop or any CRM agent desktop the customer is using. So let me show you the demonstration. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to call the contact center from my mobile phone. If I remember the phone number, should be this one. Okay, I take the call here. Now let me lower the volume, otherwise being the client and the agent at the same time is going to be a problem. So now let me say I'm going to talk Italian, and I'm going to ask Google to transcribe in Italian and translate the transcription in English. Buongiorno, mi chiamo Max, lavoro per Cisco nel team centrale che si occupa di contact center. Sto chiamando per fare una prova di supporto tecnico usando l'intelligenza artificiale di Google. Now, I don't move forward, but I think you have got exactly the point. The transcription is instantaneous. I was speaking fluent Italian, and the translation is instantaneous. So now this is, of course, a demonstration, so don't pay attention to the graphical user interface here, which is just done for demonstrational purposes. I think you got the point of what you can achieve with such a technology in a contact center environment. Your job as a partner will be to take this building block of the technology and adapt to the specific customer need. So you will need to ask the customer, what is your need? What do you want to achieve? Why you need the transcription? Where you want to store the transcription? Do you want to do that real time, offline, etc.? But the technology is able to achieve what you have seen here. And your job role is very much clear. You will be the driver and the one customizing these solutions. I want to show you also what is behind the corner, and this is not available yet. It's not mature yet. Let me make it very clear, but I want you to judge where we are with that, because this is going to be a revolution. You know what an interpreter is? Is a person who is translating from one person to the other, back and forth, when you have two businessmen, two politicians speaking different languages, okay? Now, what about doing the same using artificial intelligence in a contact center? So the agent is not speaking the same language of the customer, and you want to put Google in between to translate real time, to play the role real time interpreter, but with artificial intelligence. Now, it's not ready, but let me show where we are. The way to show that is very simple. As I cannot play in this case the role of both callers at the same time, I'm using an echoing service. So I'm sending my audio through the Cisco contact center to Google. Google will do the speech to text, the cloud translation, and the speech synthesis of the translated text, and echo everything back to me in a different language. So it's the same concept, but the demonstration is using echoing, just because otherwise I don't know how to demonstrate that. Now let's give it a try. Very challenging, because I will be in 3 calls at the same time, which is even a challenge for Italians. But let me give it a try. So let me call the contact center. I hope you will hear that.
Pause multi-language CVP transcription test using Google. You say something and I will repeat it in a different language. Say goodbye when you're all done. To change language, just say speak followed by the language name. You start.
Speak Italian.
Adesso parlerò italiano.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Max. I'm very happy you are attending this session.
Buongiorno a tutti. Mi chiamo Max e sono molto contento che partecipiate alla sessione.
Speak French.
Amici.
Speak French.
Je vais maintenant parler français.
I hope you like this session and you find the content interesting.
J'espère que vous aimez cette session et vous trouverez le contenu intéressant.
Speak Spanish.
Ahora hablaré español.
If your daughter is going to a languages schools, you have still time to change it, because there is no future.
Si su hija va a una escuela de idiomas, todavía tiene un cronómetro para cambiarlo porque no hay futuro.
Speak German.
Ich werde jetzt Deutsch sprechen.
I wish you a good day.
Ich wünsche dir einen schönen Tag.
Okay, so I think you have got an idea about what we will be able soon to deliver with such a technology. And I think, well, to me, it's quite impressive. And the future is behind the corner, as you can judge. It's not ready, trust me, it's not ready, but it's behind the corner, absolutely behind the corner. There is one more thing I would like to go, if we still have time, Joanna. Otherwise, I would stop here.
It is past now. So how much longer do you need, Max?
I could give a 1 minute demonstration of a conversational IVR virtual agent integrated with Salesforce.com. 1 minute session.
Let's just do that. There's still 142 people on at the moment, so if people have to drop, then we'll carry on recording, and you can pick this up later. But yeah, please do.
Very good.
The demos are very interesting.
Yeah, and we have so many use cases and so many demos that, as you can see, we need 2-3 hours to go through that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to log in as an agent, the same profile, but as an agent, I'm not using Finesse here. I'm using Salesforce.com. Okay, so same contact center, but the agent is now using Salesforce.com. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to call, and in this case, the call will be answered by a voice bot, an IVR and a voice bot. And the voice bot will collect some mandatory information from the customer and then pass those information to Cisco and finally to Salesforce.com and escalate to the agent.
Welcome to the Cisco Roam Demo Facilities. For dialogue. Welcome to Flight Booking Bot.
This is the bot.
To speed up the service, I'll collect your booking requests and answer your questions before connecting to an agent. What can I do for you?
I need to fly to London from Frankfurt tomorrow at 2 p.m. In business class, and my name is Max.
Many thanks. This is a summary of your travel request. I will book a flight for Max from Frankfurt to London in business class. The requested travel date is at tomorrow at 2 p.m. Do you need any extra reservations, such as...
I need a hotel.
Okay, I have added hotel to your itinerary to London. Let me now connect to an agent to complete your reservation.
Now the bot has collected all the mandatory information, saving time of the agent, who doesn't have to spend the time asking the same usual question: what is the departing city, or what is the arrival airport, and so on. And as you can see on the agent desktop, in this case, he has got the summary of what the Google bot has discussed with the customer. So here we have the full interaction, the full conversation, the full orchestration I was talking about, where we have an incoming voice call hitting the Cisco contact center, going to Google, being answered by a conversational IVR plus a voice bot, collecting information. The information is returned to Cisco, and Cisco is talking through a call connector to Salesforce.com and handing this information over to Salesforce.com. Again, this is the kind of magic together we can achieve at customer side, and we can customize and define the best solution for the customer needs, thanks to our partners who are supposed to do the job. So we can just make the bricks available. And I would stop here, Joanna. I think we have covered everything in terms of sales, technical, as well as demonstrations.
Well, that was very interesting, Max. There are a couple of questions which I just want to call out to you for answers. They're loving the demo, and is there a demo site to be able to show this to clients is one of the questions.
Some of this stuff, yes, absolutely, is available on the cloud, which every Cisco partner has access to. Some pieces are our own lab exercises, which are step-by-step moved to the cloud as soon as we develop those, but some of these are not available yet on the cloud. But I make myself available, as well as my colleagues, to run the demonstration together with you, or if you want to have this stuff installed in your lab, but to hand the code over to you to explain you how to do that. Very often it's very simple stuff. So all this stuff you've seen here, it's in the end a matter of, for those of you expert on Cisco Voice Portal, it's just a matter of very simple. It's a matter of a script like this one, where the only customization is this element, and I can show you precisely the way you have to set it up. It's a few lines of code here, And then, of course, you need a Dialogflow bot, which I can share again, which is this one. This is the bot
So,
which was answering.
so
So the options are.
how should they get in touch with you or somebody to get that support?
mcarranza@cisco.com, either via WebEx team, preferred method because I take the chat immediately, or send me an email, or I don't know what else.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you. And we'll try and post on. Maybe David can maybe put Max's email address in the chat space for those that are on the WebEx. Next question. I have a customer who relies heavily on post-recorded call transcription, which takes them a lot of time. So will this Cisco AI technology be used to transcribe their calls in real time instead?
You can, absolutely. So we can now, as you have seen, we can transcribe in real time an incoming call. Then the way you want to use the transcription could be to support the agent, like in this case, the service you have seen has been developed for a customer, for a large service provider, and the idea was to assist the agent, more or less like when, well, if you are English, you may not be used to do that, but if you are not, if your English is not your mother tongue, when you are watching YouTube, for example, sometimes the slang is not easy to understand. So you open the transcription. So you get something out of the live audio and you read the transcription. So same story for agents. There are a lot of countries in Europe like France, with the contact center is North Africa, Italy with the contact center is in Albania, in Romania, in Egypt, Germany with the contact center in Poland and in Eastern European countries, where the agents are speaking the language, but they are not extremely fluent. So transcription was real-time transcription was a kind of help to the agent. Or transcription could be just another way of recording real-time. So you can store the transcription in a database for post-processing, for searching keywords, for sentiment analysis, etc. We make the technology available. The customization to perfectly match what the customer is looking for is up to the partner. It's not up to Cisco. That's why the open API in the beginning, that's why I said that 99% of this modern contact center will be custom projects and not system integration like they were in the past.
Okay, thank you. I've got one other question and one more just popped in, so there's two more to go. How are the costs for Google services such as Dialogflow applied?
Okay, the consumption model is the same. Google is applying, and also the pricing should be the same. So if it's not, let's talk. The consumption model is very simple. These are subscriptions charged on a monthly base on consumption. So if you don't use it, you don't pay. If you use it, you pay for that. So that's important, because when you order that, you start scratching your head. Okay, what is the quantity? There is no quantity. Ordering Google on CCW is just a matter of flagging one option, which will make the services available. If you use the services, you pay. If you don't use, you don't pay. There is nothing to specifically to order. The consumption, depending on the service, might be charged on time. For example, speech to text is charged on time. It's charged with a minimum time slot of 15 seconds, and it's always rounded up to 15 seconds. So every 15 seconds of speech to text, you get charged. In other cases, like text to speech, is charged on the number of characters you are sending. So again, it's the same consumption model adopted by Google. I can share more details, or you can just go ahead and look into Google, and it's exactly the same they are offering.
Perfect. And actually, that was the other question as well. Sorry, just looking at it, is this cost per connection per minute or something else? So you just answered that anyway in that previous question. So perfect. That's it.
It's not equal to budget. That's one point. I mean, especially with the Cisco mindset, where we are used to charge, ports, licenses, or annual subscription, but not based on consumption. It's not easy to budget. And moreover, depending the way you implement the service, the budget could be different. A very quick example, because it's important. You heard what I said to book my flight. I spoke everything in one sentence. So in that case, we were charged only once because it was shorter than 15 seconds. But I could have said, I want to fly. And then Google was answering, where do you want to go? Frankfurt. Where do you want to leave from? London. Each time I do that, I get charged once because the minimum time slot is 15 seconds. So the way you implement the service and the customer behavior will influence the consumption. So that's why it's not so easy to budget. But that's the technology. There is nothing we can do with that.
And I do have one more that's just popped in, Max. So when is Google Cloud available for UCCX?
We don't have a roadmap now, but it's already available. So it's available through I would say, a customization. Okay, there is a little customization which has to be delivered. Well, little depends on the service. All the services you have seen are available on CCX, but not off the shelves. So we need to have an extra customization on CCX. And I will be very glad to take precise questions about that, as well as share what we have developed. But be aware that it's not as ready as it is for the contact center enterprise-based platforms, regardless they are UCCE, package UCCE, CCE, HCS, or WebEx Contact Center Enterprise. But they are available. If you go on the cloud, you can have a voice chat bot running on CCX without any problem.
Perfect. Okay. Well, that's it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much, Max. Really interesting presentation with some great demos there. Some good questions that came in. So thank you.
You can have also one more point to the first question. There are plenty of videos of these demonstrations available, which is probably not perfect, but could be a plan B. Those are available normally either on the Cisco collaboration blogs, just look for myself, or on my YouTube channel. So I keep posting these blogs, these videos there. So that's another way to at least socialize the capabilities that we have.
Wonderful. Thank you. And we have put Max's contact details. I see David has done that in the chat space as well. So if you want to make direct contact with Max, then feel free to do so. We've run over. Appreciate there's still just over 100 people still online. So thank you very much for hanging on there. Thomas, I'm going to hand back to you now. We've got a full, I think we've got 6 PIWs for collaboration scheduled for July. So wait for that invitation, as Thomas mentioned earlier, that's coming out later on today. And then please register for your collaboration slots. But Thomas, I'll hand back to you.